right. Good morning. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. We're getting started here. It's 9 o'clock on the dot. Just a few things before we start. We're in our weekly program, and basically kind of the setup of this is we'll have two startup companies come up and present for 6 minutes, and then we'll have 20 minutes of questions and answers after that. And that's really where we found a lot of the value comes, is just asking questions of the presenters, of their companies. They're going to kind of give you an idea of what they do, and we're excited to have two presenters today. And what 1 Million Cups is basically doing is educating the community on local startups. We're equipping the local startup, the entrepreneurs, and then we're also helping them accelerate their business. So we've got the first presenter this morning, a guy by the name of Sam Johnson with Jennifer Juice, and he's going to present Tulsa's first cold press juice bar. And so you guys give it up for Sam.
There's juice back there if you guys haven't. Can y'all hear me? Is this all right? If you haven't tried it, just try this magic. So, right. I'm Sam. Jennifer Juice is en route. We're about a 6-week-old company. We've got 6-week-old twins at home, so she's scrambling to try to get them to settle down so she can come here. But I'm going to go through this with you, and then I'll point her out when she gets here. So we're the first cold press juice bar in Tulsa. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what that is. But some interesting facts first. This is what you'll find in about an 11-ounce glass of the respective juices here. The colander of spinach you see is it's hard to tell the scale. That's like a colander about this big. It takes a ton of spinach to make pure spinach juice. And the way we do it is we just squeeze it to death. So there's no grinding, there's no pulp in the juice or anything like that. So these juices that we make are pretty labor intensive to make, and there's an awful lot of stuff that gets condensed into them, so they're very nutrient rich and packed. Cold crafted juice, although it's just kind of getting here to Tulsa, it's a $3.4 billion industry globally. So if you guys haven't tried it or maybe haven't heard of it, and we think that's fantastic because it gives us a chance to be the first here. It's going to happen, I think, all over the place. In New York City, where we're from, Jennifer and I, you can't walk the block without finding a cold pressed juice bar. You can't go into a health club. You can't go virtually Whole Foods. Whole Foods does their juice stuff here too. Every grocery store in New York, every health club, all these people, every corner has places almost like artisanal coffee. The different ways that people that are into juice like to have their juice prepared and everything like that. So cold crafted refers to a process that doesn't add any unnecessary heat to the creation of juice. So it keeps the enzymes alive, it keeps all the good stuff kind of real and alive and healthy and good, just purely by squishing all the guts, the life out of it. So when we press our juice, when we press 11 ounces of spinach juice down from a colander of spinach, we put it in a really tight mesh weave bag in a hydraulic press. And what comes out of that bag at the end of it is just this, it's almost like sawdust. It's really crazy stuff. So there's very little nutritional value in that sawdust and stuff that comes out of the juice. So we opened in the Phil Tower, which is over here on 5th and Boston. It's a beautiful historic building. If you haven't seen it, it's fantastic. We're in the back of the lobby where there used to be a gallery and a big clock. This is us kind of getting ready for opening here. I think one of the things that we really are trying to do is kind of make it the whole idea is it's a local business. So Jennifer Juice here in Tulsa is all about Tulsa. We want to get our produce from local farmers in Tulsa. We want to reflect kind of what's fresh and close and real here. So when we open a Jennifer Juice in Plano or Denver or wherever the next one is going to be very much about Denver or Plano or whatever that is. So what scales in this business here is the process of the brand, but there's no kind of centralized production. There's no commissary model where we'll create things on location and kind of distribute it out. There's different reasons for that. One is that we like sort of the hyper-local kind of focus of a business, so that's why we're doing that. It's intentional. The other reason is we don't pasteurize or do anything to preserve the juice that we make. So there's health regulations that prevent us from selling it certain ways. We can't put it on the shelves of a grocery store. We can't put it in the fridge at a yoga studio right now. We can't have third parties selling the juice. We have to sell it directly. So, and we think a little bit of that is kind of education and processing. We'll work with the health department people to figure some stuff out. But I think that's cool, and you're going to see the menu change. We'll always have green juice for people who are into their green juice, but the green juice ingredients will change a little bit depending on the season and what's fresh, what we can get. Because this is our first bar and my wife's and my first kind of food and beverage business ever, we do this very much as kind of a test kitchen. We're trying a lot of stuff and throwing things against the wall to see if it sticks and making changes and making mistakes. And originally, we thought this was going to be a food truck. We thought, this was going to be a mobile business. We actually found a 1955 Comet trailer, invested a lot of time and money in fixing it up and making it a juice truck. And then we learned pretty quickly that we need to have, for our customers, for this type of customer, we need to have a physical location on regular hours. We need to be people need to know when we're where we are. And we have customers that come every single morning for their juice. And this is the kind of product that sort of attracts that kind of customer. So if anybody wants a juice trailer, we over here. Another concept that I think is kind of unique that we wanted to try, we hoped it would work, and it seems to be working really well, so I'm excited. This is a snapshot from our little webcam in the store. We mix juices at the bar. You can come pick up a bottle of pre-mixed juice and take out with you if you want, but we mix juices at the bar. So we press everything kind of individually. So we press our spinach and we press our red bell peppers and our cucumbers and all that. And we bottle them individually, and we recycle old, cool, vintage liquor bottles, and we'll mix you a juice at the bar. So it's just like a bartender. So if you know what you want, come in and tell us. And we generally have between 10 and 15 different juices. Again, it's kind of seasonal and stuff like that. Right now, we've got 12 juices at the bar, and you can make an awful lot of different combinations of them. So if you're, if you're a slow carb guy and you don't like the sugar and the fruits, you can make an all vegetable juice. If you like the little sweetness of your fruits, there's a lot of different things we can do. And we can do intense little shots and things like that. So we want to kind of be like a healthy bar.
Right.
That's what it says. A couple facts, just quickly, that I neglected to mention that I think are interesting about some of these things.
The time's up, but if you could, just a quick question, can you tell us kind of where you're located, where on your slide, and that's
Yeah.
kind of some of the things that you're looking at doing.
So we're at 5th and Boston, as I said. The original concept was start the bar, get a little bit of traction in the market, kind of have a slow launch. We think that there's a huge opportunity for bars and restaurants to be using fresh juice in their products and their brushes and stuff like that. We're looking for introductions to bars and restaurants who are interested in talking to us about that. We're always trying to expand our network of local farmers and producers. So we work with some now, and we work with some that are popular with a lot of the restaurants around here. But we want to be put in touch with people, and we want to kind of keep doing that. And I'm looking for a good bookkeeper. If anybody knows a local bookkeeper in Tulsa, we need somebody to take care of our books and just moved here from New York and I don't know anybody.
And has anybody, there's juice back here, right, Sam? And I just want to see if anybody can guess what kind it is.
Who's tried it? A few people tried it. Yeah. Does anybody like it? Does anybody not like it? Most people kind of like it. It was an accidental discovery. So can you guess what it is?
Any guesses?
It's all it is. It's orange and red bell pepper. It's half and half. Yeah. So, and the thing about red bell peppers, antioxidants, they're good for your complexion, they're good for your cardiovascular system, they reduce LDL cholesterol, and they can relieve arthritis symptoms. So there's all kinds of great things about all these different things. You should eat them in salads, but you can get a much higher concentration in juice.
All right, we're going to kind of open it up for questions. If you guys have a question, if you could get Barron's attention over here, he is our MC, and we'll be kind of controlling the question.
I was going to ask you about the shelf life.
The shelf life, yeah, it's a great question. So, because we don't pasteurize, a lot of this stuff, once it's exposed to the air the way it is, kind of, starts clock ticking. And the rule of thumb that we use is 3 days. A lot of the stuff that we press, like apples, good for 2 weeks, right? But the problem is we mix these things together, and it's kind of, it's the shortest one. So 3 days is what we figure.
Do you put that on the label?
We refresh the juice that we sell every 3 days, and we tell people when they go buy it. So if we're serving at the bar, it's no big deal, right? Because everything's fresh. But if we're getting a bottle, then we let you know when you drink it in 3 days.
You may have already said this, but what made you decide to move to Tulsa? Or either you or your wife from this area?
So I'm from Tulsa. I was here through high school, and I was moving back just to move back. And then I met the wife back, and we needed to do something together. So she was big into juice. Like she's kind of our executive chef type person. This was kind of her thing, and she got me interested in it, and we looked around. But this was just like a really good time in Tulsa.
I have a question. What were you going to tell us about on that previous slide?
I was going to read you this cool, listen to this. Just take a second. So this is from an article that I just did. This past summer, Morgan's Hotel Group, the leading boutique hotel operator, opened a rooftop cocktail bar in New York City, specializing in natural market fresh cocktails. These cocktails combine liquiteria, cold pressed juices with premium spirits. The bar is a smashing success with the group, with hundreds lining up to drink $18 all natural cocktails. I've seen Jay-Z looking at Super Bowl. So liquiteria is a big brand. They're like a bigger version of what we do in the Northeast.
So on the bookkeeper front, there's a group here in town called SCORE, and I'll give you my card and put you in contact with them. That they're a very entrepreneurial support organization to help you. I think Cal, who heads that up, has been at several meetings here. The question I have is hydroponics. I've read, seen, talked to a few people about that. Is that something you guys are working around with? And maybe you can explain to me what that is.
Hydroponics, just growing in water.
There you go.
That's I know very
Okay.
barely more than you, I think.
Yeah, I was just, well, the only reason I bring it up is to think about your whole organic approach.
Yeah.
I know there's several growers in the area that are really focused on that, and that gives you an edge or an additional value prop.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, but no.
It says that you're looking for cocktail bars and restaurants, but have you met any of the local people in the fitness world? More specifically, like right next to you at 6th and Boston, there's a fitness together that specializes in educating all of downtown about healthy living and stuff like that, and it might parallel right with what you're going for.
So we did some, yeah, the answer is yeah, right? So a very, very big overlap in customer base between the fitness places and what we're selling. And when we were doing some kind of market research type stuff over the summer before we opened our store, we were going to some farmers markets, we were going to some yoga studios, some bar fitness studios, talking to the CrossFit people and stuff like that. And everybody, that was kind of more marketing and kind of getting some feedback on the recipes and all that. But the challenge we have originally, when we got here, I thought we'd put a little Red Bull fridge, right, in a yoga studio, and people could grab juice on the way out, and it would be terrific for us. And we're not able to do that kind of thing yet. We can do things where people pre-order and pick up at the studio and all that. We can always do cross-promotional stuff, so we'll do that.
You guys have food offerings as well?
Very simple, raw. So we do a breakfast bowl every morning, which is some kind of non-dairy yogurt and chia seeds and granola and fresh fruit, that kind of thing. We do a salad every afternoon, and that's a very simple kind of mix of kale and lettuces and a vinaigrette and some hemp seeds and whatever else, right? It's always kind of a variation on that. And then I'm making kale chips. Like I experimented with kind of growing kale chips, and they're fantastic. So we'll do little things like that. But yeah, it's not really we don't think of it as a restaurant.
So you kind of mentioned it, like back in the bigger market, like New York City, are they mixing these with alcohol beverages, or is that a market? Is that something that's done?
So it's done. So that bar on the roof in New York that I read you the quote about, they're doing it and they're having quite a bit of success with it. It's it's something that I think we'll start to see more of. It's kind of a niche, but there's enough kind of really interesting kind of higher end artisanal cocktail bars popping up in Tulsa already that I think there should be interest in that kind of thing. I mean, there's in the Blue Dome and in kind of different areas around downtown here, you see bars that are kind of investing a lot in kind of making interesting neat cocktails. Right?
Mine's kind of a two-part question. If I wanted to come in and customize my own juice, how long would that take me to do that?
If you want to come in and order a custom juice, which is like going to a bar and ordering a drink, we just make it for you there. Yeah. If you want to come in and you love your custom juice so much that you want to take, a gallon of it home, then we probably have you come back at the end of the day and pick that up. But,
And does it require a lot of equipment? Because you said you don't have a commissary and like that.
so we have a kitchen that's pretty large right next to the bar. So the bar is the, you saw the picture of right next to that, and we connected with a doorway is a larger kitchen. What we have in there is a bunch of, kitchen equipment, like the blenders, the sinks. We have the big hydraulic press. That's like the main thing where we press the juice, and we have all of our refrigeration.
Back to the bar, mix of liquor and stuff. Is there science or anything behind, if you mix the vodka and Red Bull's craft ones, it's actually healthier, and you feel a little bit better than it is if you mix it. Just kind of curb is there any science or anything behind it?
I don't know.
What are we looking at price-wise?
So it's about, the price points, depending, we have a few different sizes, but it's about $5 to $7, $4.50 to $7, something like that. And then we've gotten enough inquiries about kind of doing multi-day cleanse programs, right, or detox programs or whatever, that we're doing one right now, and it's my first ever to try it. I'm a day into it, and I'm still alive and all that. But for that, we do a set of like 5 or 6 16-ounce bottles. So it's quite a bit, it's almost 2 gallons of juice. It's quite a bit of juice. So we'll price that as a package, right? And that, other people who are doing that in town are doing it for about $150 for 3 days. So it's somewhere in the neighborhood of, $120 for it.
Hi, I'm Amy. I emailed you from Zen Body Yoga Studio. I'm curious, you said that there are juice bars everywhere in New York. Is it legal there to sell unpasteurized juice in bottles?
Two things, it's not, but there are alternatives to pasteurization that places like New York are starting to use. One's called HPP, and it's high pressure, I'm not sure what the last P is, it's not pasteurization, but basically instead of using heat, they use tremendous water pressure to do this. So a lot of the juice companies in New York will produce their juice, ship them to Pennsylvania, and treat it like this. And then the shelf life extends from about 3 days to about 3 weeks. So it's an expensive it's an expensive model that requires some scale, but works well for them. So that allows them then to put the stuff on shelves in grocery stores. But there's a lot of Jennifer Juice type little kind of, we produce it right here on the spot type bars in New York too.
I want to know, are the bottles
So we're curious whether there's opportunities for not just the leftover juice, but for the pulp and stuff that we extract for pig farmers. I mean, there's got to be somebody who can use this stuff, and we don't know the answer to that, but we're looking for for stuff. We love the whole idea of coming in as completely sustainable as possible. The idea with the glass bottles was that we give you a refund back or a credit for a return bottle towards your next purchase. We're doing that. But we're not allowed right now by the health department to refill those bottles, even if we sterilize them. So that's going to be a short-lived program because they're expensive bottles. They're very cool, but they're very expensive. So until we figure that out, a way to do that, right now, you buy one of those bottles for $7 versus all those pictures. And then we'll recycle it or something.
So when you're selecting your location for your store, what type of customer density, population density are you looking for? What can you select your current location? What do you look for in additional locations? Can you kind of mention some franchising? And I'm trying to further ask what type of franchise situation you're looking at going forward.
So I think it depends a little bit on the time and the maturity of the business. Right now, we're brand new and nobody knows who we are. So the reason for the location in the middle of downtown was because we wanted to be easily accessible to people who are working downtown Monday through Friday. They walk around, they're going to go to Jimmy John's. We're just as close as Jimmy John's, right? That kind of thing. I think as more people become aware and people want to be able to kind of drive and pick stuff up and all that, we're not in a great location. It's hard to park where we are, so if you're not really local, we're kind of difficult to get to. So that's something we consider for the next one. I mean, the next one's going to be driven by sort of demand, right? We're going to get a little bit of traction. There's going to feel like there's an opportunity somewhere else. So, we never thought we would be like a Foolish Things coffee shop where we're as much a place to kind of hang out and do your work and have your meetings and all that as we are to sell products. We thought this would be more about selling the product, right? So we've got some bar stools and we've got Wi-Fi and you can hang out, but we don't have a huge amount of space or anything like that. And it's kind of prohibitive to do that where we are. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So that's I'm kind of dancing around your question. I think the next one probably is easier to park. I think it's in a place where there's a lot of, Plano's a great example, right? There's a lot of, kind of fitness interested people who I think like a product like this. And as long as it's easily accessible during their day, they'll come by and pick it up and do it.
My question, and it's funny that you mentioned Jimmy John's, they deliver, which works out really well because they're kind of a hard location game. Is that something that you guys were looking to get into?
We want to do that. We did a little small delivery pilot over the summer. For 1 month, we delivered to about a dozen houses twice a week, right? So 3 bottles twice a week. To test the recipes, but also just kind of test the mechanics of delivery. And we do want to do that. So the challenge in this business, and I'm a software guy, so this is completely challenging to me, is just managing inventory is tricky, especially when you're trying to deal with kind of the fuzzy problem of figuring out how much spinach you need if you need to have this much juice, and you need this much juice because you're making these blends and all. It's kind of tricky, right? So we're sort of tiptoeing into it. Once we get a good handle on how we'll be able to kind of create volume and all that, then we'll start delivery within a small radius and try to expand after that. Yeah.
So what metrics do you need to hit before you start looking at expansion?
So we're making a lot of expensive mistakes right now, but that was part of the plan. When we're ready to expand, we'll know what the upfront investment and equipment and everything is going to be. We'll know how we're going to source our produce at that next location, right? And we're also going to, the analytical side of stuff, the kind of planning and the inventory management and all that, that'll be baked a lot better. Than it's getting better now, right? But we'll have that nailed as a process so we can kind of just hand it to the store. So again, I think it's like, if I create a fantastic yoga studio here, it's only as good as my instructors, but if I understand kind of, how to run it, how to do the schedule, how to price it, how to market, how to do all that other kind of stuff, I can tell somebody in Plano how to do the same thing. As long as they have good instructors, then they'll be successful too, right? So it's the same thing. We're the produce, not the instructors. But so we're trying to make all the mistakes here and get it efficient and make money, and then we'll go to the next place.
You said you got rid of the moguls band. Are you going to bring that back? Thinking up to bring?
I said I wanted to sell it to you, is what I said. So it's not practical as a kitchen, but it is really interesting, I think, as a marketing tool, right? I think since we think we're a kind of a lifestyle company rather than just a pure product company. So we want to be involved with a lot of activities around Tulsa. Right? We want to sponsor the 5Ks. We want to be at the yoga in the park things and all that. So to have a trailer for that, I think is great. We can be there. We can have our product there. We can be involved. So I think that's what we'll use it for.
I have a question. I recently had some teeth issues because of excessive juice drinking. And I was wondering, what are you doing to educate your customers on how to consume juice responsibly to prevent similar issues?
I'm going to go home and research teeth issues, juice drinking, so I can answer that question next time. I've never heard that before.
Oh, well, yeah, we can talk about that. But my dentist said that I was drinking too much juice.
You're drinking too much sugar in fruit juice. So
exactly.
So you said you're making a lot of expensive mistakes. One of the big arguments for franchise and choosing franchise is that they've already made mistakes and they give you a system that you can follow that you don't have to make those mistakes. What was your thinking behind trying to do it yourself as opposed to buying into a franchise and taking the maybe less costly route?
Because, well, first of all, like I don't know of a franchise for this kind of. I mean, maybe some of these East Coast franchises, maybe you could do it in Tulsa. But the real answer is I like starting things from scratch. I like creating new things. And so we had like a really fun weekend trip to New York where we kind of went to all the juice bars, right? And we looked at what we liked about the spaces and the products and the packaging and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of what you'll see at Jennifer Juice kind of, reflects what we liked, and what you won't see reflects what we didn't like and all that. So I don't necessarily think we can do it better than everybody else, but I think we can do something that's different, and we can be as successful as anybody else. We've seen this product be really successful, so there's no reason we can't do it. And I'd rather create and own a franchise than be a franchisee. So if it ends up being a franchise. So, guys, Jennifer's back in the back. She walked in a few minutes ago, so she's
Hi.
she's the executive chef. She's the reason we're called Jennifer Juice.
have, or have you thought about doing like this subscription or like a regular thing, or like discount you every week go into the same, like amount or models or something like that?
Yeah, that's better for us and that's better for the customer too, right? The discount for the customer, but for us, it gives us some visibility into what we need to produce. So the hard thing about kind of just being a bar and having products and hoping that people will come buy it is anything you waste just kind of cuts directly into your margins, obviously, right? And these are, the produce is expensive for what we do. So I think delivery is a subscription business, right? We'll deliver to your house, twice a week for however long, and we've agreed that up front. The CleanNG packages are prepaid things too, right? So yeah, volume discounts we'll definitely do because we like to log in a customer as much as the customer who's going to buy a lot anyway likes to get a good deal.
I've got a question real quick. So where are you sourcing all of your produce right now? Have you found, are you just going to, organic grocery stores, or have you gone straight to farms? And how difficult has that been? And do you see that as a risk, relying on some of those local?
We go to Reese's, and if we're in a hurry, we go to Quick Trip. We work with a couple different guys in town right now that we were introduced to through restaurant contacts. Some of them, the main one that we work with is an organic farmer himself, but he also sources from other organic farms in the area, but also as far as Texas. He makes a trip to Texas every week. So he's got, the good thing about him is that he's got a list that's fairly reliable and predictable, right? And if he can't get it here for the week, he'll get it close by. So we want to have more direct relationship with farmers, right? So we find somebody who's doing peaches and doing a ton of them, we'll use them. But but we're new, so we had to kind of start that way. And he's doing great for us. He's kind of getting us the product we're after.
So you said that you want to get rid of the trailers, but I visited some family down in Tampa, and there's this one group of businesses, and they travel. They have a website up, and certain times and certain days, they're 2 hours here, 2 hours there, and I thought it was kind of hokey, but I went, and there's tons of people just lining up for these things, and they just kind of follow. So they look at their schedule. Oh, on Tuesday they're going to be here, and we went, and there was 500 people. Like, it was unbelievable. So I don't know if there's something like that you guys thought about the trailer and connecting with other businesses, other free foods or juices, or I don't know if you guys could do something like that and have it up before that, knowing that this day at this time you're going to be there.
It's an idea, and in New York, and I was kind of joking about selling the trailer because I do think it's going to come in handy in the summer, but in New York, yeah, there are food trucks that'll tweet where their location is going to be the next day, and everybody will descend on that location, and they'll know that they're going to sell all their stuff. And that's a much denser city than Tulsa is, but it works there. So we think about that stuff.
And then I had another thing, I'm just going to throw it at you, but the pulp. There's a lot of organic farming that's going on, and there's a lot of beef in the organic. Have you guys looked at the organic farmers? Because that stuff's actually expensive, so you guys can actually make some good money with that pulp.
Yeah, no, we will. We haven't, we will.
Yeah, two things real quick. First off, whenever you mentioned the trailer and how they can move together and stuff, Food Truck Wednesday might be a cool place to go to, just since there's lots of traffic and obviously when it warms up, it'll be a good place to be. So it's just an idea, but second of all, is there an idea behind the logo? It looks really cool, kind of abstract. Is there a reason for it?
It was intentionally abstract, colorful, clean. If you go in the bar, it's pretty minimalist. It's not as minimalist as an Apple store, but it's clean and there's a lot. The color is the juice. The juice is brightly colored, and so we don't have a lot of distracting color in the bar. And it's just an aesthetic thing. But it's memorable and we like it, and we've taken one of those little icons and we kind of use it, but we don't have enough space for the whole logo, so it's on the cooler back there. Yeah.
All right, Sam, if you could just tell us how to get in touch with you for the cocktail bars and the restaurants and all that.
They're making my last slide.
All right,
So.
Sam at jenniferjuice.com. Yeah. Guys, give it up for Sam and for Jennifer. Yeah, so just to recap, if you guys know anybody at restaurants or cocktail bars, that's a good plug. What were the other ones? Come try your juice. All right, cool. Awesome. All right, got a couple quick announcements for you today. I'm gonna invite Vodka Bar Andy up here. That's his new nickname, VBA. Andy's gonna give us a little quick rundown of something very cool he's working on.
Hi, my name is Andy Cagle, and I'm opening Inner Circle Vodka Bar in the Brady Arts District, Main Street, right around the main ballroom area. And this Sunday, we're doing a business showcase for people interested in investing downtown or just checking out what we're doing. There, we're going to have a food truck, some infused vodkas. So we have flyers in the back. You can come talk to me afterwards, or my business partner, Jake Harper, the redhead over here, and we'll have to talk to you about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Andy. We've got Patrick Huber from, you can give Patrick the mic, from the OSU Entrepreneurship Riata Center.
Hi, I'm Patrick Huber. I work at OSU Stillwater at the Riata Center for Entrepreneurship. We are the outreach center for the Department of Entrepreneurship at campus. And we do a lot of events and programs for students on campus, like competitions for business plans and accelerators to bring students in to help launch their business. Actually, CleanNG, Michael and Matt came from there. They're here in Tulsa today with a lot of success. You'll hear that from them. But I wanted to announce a conference that we have in Tulsa called the Entrepreneurs Aspire Conference coming up April 8th. We've had this conference for the past 4 years in Oklahoma City called the Women's Entrepreneurship Conference. We've had that for 4 years and it's been great. But we're now bringing it here to Tulsa, not just for women, but for all male and female. Tulsa's seen a great energy with entrepreneurship being rated #1 for Forbes for Premier for Young Entrepreneurship. The Brady District has seen a lot of success. So check that out. It's on our website at riata.okstate.edu. You can talk to me afterwards. We have a special. It's a $75 special rate through next week on Friday the 14th. So if you want to check that out and come join us April 8th, it'll be fun. Thanks.
What's the website for that? Is there a direct URL?
riata.okstate.edu. There's some pamphlets back there with little business cards for our conference if you want to grab one of those and find our information through there.
Awesome. You want to do it? You want me to do it? All right, thank you. Mr. Mike. We have a special announcement today. We've brought someone else in the 1 Million Cups family. He's sort of already been on TV with us, and so people think he's in the family, but now Dustin Curzon is officially on our community organizer team. We're excited to have you, Dustin. We appreciate you. Do you want to say anything?
If you have really positive things to say, come talk to me. If you have any complaints, talk to Brad. Hi, Tim. Sorry. Tim's in charge.
I'll take all negativity. All right, next up we have Michael Tate with CleanNG. They're doing advanced natural gas fuel storage systems. Did I say that right? Awesome. That's about all I know, guys. So we're going to hand it over to Michael.
Thank you everyone for coming out today. I appreciate your time. I'm Michael Tate. I'm one of the founders and Chief Operations Officer at CleanNG. CleanNG is, I just put on a link, that's perfect. Start off. Let's try that again. All right, yes, CleanNG is an innovative advanced fuel storage systems for natural gas, fuel, and other applications. We started this company October 1st, 2010, my business partner Matt Villarreal and I. And we introduced our first product last year, the Magnum cell, which we believe is the future of fuel storage for the compressed natural gas industry. But before you can know about the future, you kind of need to know about the past. So there's been a variety of tanks prior to ours, starting with the Type 1 tank, which is an all-metal tank. It's very heavy, but very cost-effective for people who are converting over to compressed natural gas. You kind of get an idea of what the weight and price per liter is on each one of these slides. The second type of tank is Type 2. Basically, they thinned out the metal liner and used the hoop wrap to reduce the weight by about half and only slightly increase the cost of the tank. The next type is a Type 3, which reduced the weight even more, but almost doubled in price per liter for the tank. And basically, this is a thin aluminum liner, fully wrapped with carbon fiber. And then the most advanced type of CNG tank prior to us entering the market is a Type 4 tank, which is a thick plastic liner, fully wrapped in carbon fiber. And on the Type 3 and Type 4 tanks, the liner is basically the permeation barrier, what stops the CNG or compressed natural gas from leaking out. And so we introduced the Magnum cell, which is a Type 5 tank. It's brand new for the market. What it does is it eliminates the need for this liner. So you no longer have a plastic or metal liner on the inside taking up valuable storage space, which allows you to increase the amount of fuel you can store in the tank, and then it significantly reduces the weight of the tank. And so to kind of give you an idea of what markets we're getting into, the Magnum cell, as I mentioned, we introduced last year. It's a higher operating pressure, so it's targeted infrastructure and long-haul trucks. We're introducing the Magnum cell LT, which is a lower operating pressure. It's what the rest of the industry uses for vehicles, 3,600 PSI. This will mostly be for buses, trucks, refuse vehicles, cement mixers. And then we recently got funded from the National Science Foundation and OCAS to introduce our second technology and our third product, which uses adsorbed natural gas. We're planning on launching that in 2015, and we just recently begun research on that. To give you a side-by-side comparison of the weight savings that we have, you see Type 5 down at the bottom. Compared to the first type of tank I mentioned, that's 500% heavier per liter than our tanks. So if you're a cement mix truck or a refuse truck, you can only carry so much trash or cement with you. You're limited by the weight of the CNG system. So if you can save that much more weight, it's a lot of cargo and therefore more revenue for your thing. Or for the aerospace industry, for example, SpaceX gets paid $43,000 for every pound of cargo they put into space. So if we save you 1 pound, that's $43,000 extra dollars that you would be able to make off of your launch. In terms of pricing, we're pretty competitive. We're trying to shoot for about $15 per liter. We're a little bit more expensive right now because we're not at scale, but 15 is our target, so we should be very competitive against the rest of our people in the market. One of our life examples that we actually installed last year is a 4-tank system to replace one of these heavy ASME spears. You can see ours is $2,000 cheaper, so right off the bat it seems like a good bet. We also are able to store 15 more gas gallon equivalents of fuel in our system. We weigh about a tenth, so 900 versus 9,000 pounds. So basically 2 people can install this by hand versus bringing out a crane and having to drop in a spear. And then if you want to increase your, this is for a fueling station, if you want to increase your system, rather than adding a whole another $30,000 spear, you can just add a single tank at $7,000 a piece and 28 extra gallons. So it's a nice way for businesses to add fuel without having to put in a lot of extra money up front. We've had a lot of great partners and clients. As I mentioned, we work with National Science Foundation, OCAS, the Helmrich Research Center here at OSU Tulsa, and Oak Ridge National Lab are some of our partners. We've also had some sales in the aerospace already with NASA and Yeti Space, and one of our first customers was CleanNG Fuel Corp. Looking into the future, the biggest excitement we have around our office is Project Bigfoot. Basically, this is a 40-foot shipping container filled wall to wall with tanks. It's used for exporting gas to countries that don't have their own energy sources. So like Dominican Republic or Bahamas, places that don't produce their own energy could import natural gas from the U.S. And we're looking at getting into that game in a big way. And then for community help, right now one of our biggest things that we're looking for is someone to help out with the financials and accounting side of our business. We're always looking for customers, specifically fleets or OEMs. By OEMs, I mean original equipment manufacturers like Peterbilt, crane carriers, or Ford Motor Company. We're also looking to upgrade our facility in the next 12 to 18 months. We have about 4,500 square feet of manufacturing space right now, but we expect to outgrow that by the end of the year. And then, like I said, we have a lot of research partners, but we're always looking to do new, great things with additional partners. So anyone who's interested in helping out with the manufacturing and research side, we're interested in that. That's basically all I have. There's plenty of ways of connecting with us on social media, so I encourage you guys to check us out there and start taking questions. And this juice is awesome.
Where are you currently located right now?
We're at 51st and Mingo. We're actually located with Tulsa Gas Technologies, which is a vehicle conversion company that converts vehicles from gasoline to compressed natural gas, and they also install or make dispensers that dispense the natural gas to the vehicles.
Are you limited to the size and to the configuration of the tank?
So one of the things is with natural gas at high pressures, you have to have a cylindrical shape. So your only limitations on that is the size of the machine, and then we have to pay for retesting every time. Excuse me, we change the dimensions of the tank within a certain percentage. Does that answer your question? Okay. And then also the CleanNG technology that I mentioned earlier that we have research funding for will actually allow us to make a conformable shaped tank. So it can be in any shape, and it runs at lower pressure and stores equal amounts of fuel. So it's something that we're working on, but like I said, we have a launch date about 2015 ideally for that.
Okay, I've got a question. I'm really interested in your prototyping process, and how do you go from just an idea to developing all these different tanks that you showed us?
Glad you asked that. So we've actually had a really interesting story on how we got to that. We started off with a kind of like, Apple and Facebook or Google, some of the garage startups. We started in our garage. We didn't have the money or the equipment or anything to actually make our first tank, so we made our own equipment in our garage and wound our first tank. It kind of looks like something a Great Dane would have dropped in your front yard. It was enough to get us $10,000 at the Regatta Business Plan competition that Patrick mentioned earlier. And from there, we kind of kept progressing our technology. This is our second prototype. It's a little bit prettier, but it leaked like a sieve, so that wasn't ideal for our scenario. Our third tank we got we basically been funded all of our research through a variety of private, state, and local grants. This one through National Collegiate Inventors and Innovators Alliance. Basically got funded to do 4 tanks and get it through Department of Transportation testing. And we made this beautiful looking tank, and it looked great, but it leaked on the end fittings, which is the same problem that everyone who's been trying to make lineless tanks for the last 15 years have had the problem with, is where the metal meets the all composite material, that's where they have leakage. So around the time that we actually wound and made this first one and tested it and it failed, we had a customer call us saying that they wanted to test out this technology, and we weren't quite there yet, but we told them we'd do it as a trial program, and they accepted. So we ended up outsourcing our manufacturing and going to a facility in Alabama through an OSU alumni, and started making tanks there, and ended up making the Magnum cell, which, as I said, is now the Magnum cell, which is now the most advanced fuel storage system in the CNG world. So it wasn't easy. We spent about 2 years, 8 months getting through research and development to get the product where it is, but there's been companies with much bigger budgets, much larger size, much more experience who've been doing this for years who still haven't figured it out.
I have two questions. You mentioned that you outsourced to Alabama. Are you now currently manufacturing here in Tulsa, or are you still?
No, so the facility in Alabama, we basically show up, we rent out the facility for about $2,000 a day. We just take over shop, run it there. We're actually in the process of raising funds to bring everything into that 4,500 square foot facility that I mentioned earlier. So we're trying to bring it in-house, but right now we're still outsourcing it as a painter.
And then second, how are these tanks, all the different classes, how are they rated on, how do they rate them safety-wise, and then how does yours rate compared to other types of tanks?
So the nice thing is that they're all on the same standard. All testing has to go through the Department of Transportation. So it puts everybody on an equal safety playing field. You have to have a 2.5 times burst pressure of your operating pressure. So, for example, the Magnum cell, as I mentioned, operates at 4,500 psi. We had to hit a 10,125 to meet safety requirements, and we overshot that to 14,000 psi. So we're actually far over the 2.5 safety factor, and one of the reasons we do that is because we're a new technology, so we want to kind of cover our butt in case anything happens, but we're still able to add a lot more fiber to get to that higher safety factor and still weigh quite a bit less than our competitors because of the elimination of the wire.
Hi, Michael. I'm curious, you guys obviously have had a vision and been really scrappy to get there. What's your background, your partner's background, or what interests you in CNG in the first place?
So that's a good question that kind of go back to some of the other slides I have in here. So neither my business partner or I have a engineering background, which is kind of ironic for a engineering company, so to speak. We actually started, Matt and I got invited to a race team when we were in college. They're on the verge of shutting down this team. We had a roommate who was obsessed with Formula racing. They found out they had a Formula team on campus, and they're about to close it down because there's $56 in the account to design, build, and manufacture a quarter-scale race car. The team hadn't been to competition in several years, and someone brought Matt and I on, and we spent that $56 on promotional packets and sponsorship packets to raise funds. We actually raised $17,500 to build the car, and part of that was to convert it over to ethanol or E85. We successfully did that, went to competition for the first time in years, did horrible because we didn't have any veterans there. The ethanol actually destroyed our engine, so we didn't do very well, and so we found ourselves in the same boat next year looking for funding, trying to get the team back at the competition. And Matt and I met T. Boone Pickens at a creativity event in Oklahoma City, and we were like, how about we launch this thing as a natural gas vehicle? We wanted to stand out, and we figured it'd help us get some funding. So we actually created the first compressed natural gas formula vehicle of its type, Formula SAE vehicle, and set some world records in 2011 and broke them in 2012. And while doing that, we came across a lot of the same problems that a lot of people in the industry with vehicles have. Is the tanks were bulky, heavy, and they didn't store enough fuel. And when you have a small race car like this, you don't have a lot of space for putting on fuel systems. And so we started doing some homework, and we found out that a lot of people in the industry had the same problem. The tanks were taking up a lot of space, and they weren't getting them as far as they needed to. So Matt, my business partner, had an idea for doing a linerless tank. Obviously, we weren't the first people to think of this, but we were the first ones to luckily execute it. So it's kind of how we got there.
Can you talk a little bit about the state of the alternative fuel vehicles? I know you're probably maybe looking at competition and sexy electric car now. And I know Boone Pickens hasn't been as vocal recently about conversions to CNG vehicles. What's your outlook for the future of the industry, and where do you guys go?
Well, we're, like I said, targeting both infrastructure and vehicles. Mostly the vehicles are being converted in fleets. For a person, the economics really aren't there unless you're just driving a god-awful amount of miles per year. So if you spend 60% of your day in a car, yeah, CNG is probably a great answer for you. But if you're just commuting back and forth from work about 20 miles a day, it's not a great option. But the way we see it is we're basically targeting heavy and medium-duty vehicles. That's because they're one of the heaviest fuel users. And then on top of that, we're targeting the infrastructure side because they need to fuel these things. And a lot of people are switching to what they call mobile fueling stations. That's basically a platform that you plug in the gas and electric, and the station's already there. So if you need to move it from location to location, you just pick up, put it on the back of a flatbed, and move to the next location. So that real-life example that I showed you, the 4-pack versus an ASA sphere, that's one of those examples where you're shipping 9,000 less pounds when you're moving the system from site to site, which is better fuel economy.
Okay. Can you just talk us through sort of your experience with grant funding? And then I know you guys have sort of transitioned into a little bit more VC type stuff. What, on the grant funding side, did you get help to write that? How'd you guys find those grants? And then with the fundraising stuff, what's that experience been like? And can you just give us a little feedback just quickly?
Yeah, so our first funding source, like I said, was the Riata Business Plan competition. We got second place in that, $10,000. The next one was an EDGE grant, which is Economic Development Generating Excellence, their Innovative Ideas program. They've unfortunately since closed that, but that was a $25,000 grant. That was my second grant that I'd written and got it first try, so that was just pretty much luck. I spent a long time rewriting it over and over and over again before I submitted it, but we were really lucky to get that. The next funding source, as I said, was NCIA, or National Collegiate Inventors and Innovators Alliance. It's mostly for college students who have ideas that they want to commercialize. That was for $20,000. I think I wrote that grant. I got it on the second or third try. I have a background in journalism and broadcasting. I just realized I didn't answer your question earlier. My major is in advertising and public relations and master's in entrepreneurship. So I think my background in journalism and understanding how to write and explain things has really helped us with our grant writing process. After the NCIA grant, we got funded a national science. Actually, we got some VC funding from an accelerator program in Boston, $50,000 between two groups, Village Capital and Venture Well. One's in Boston, one's in Atlanta. And then from there, we got we got funding from an investor, Angel, Tulsa Gas Technologies, put money in us because they believed in us, and we pitched them. And then we got a National Science Foundation and OCAS ORS grant summer of last year for about $525,000 for the stored natural gas, or CleanNG technology, and we're in the midst of trying to raise a $1 million round.
That's awesome. Well done on all of that. And then follow-up is just sort of your marketing, your sales. Are people seeking you out for this? How do you get in front of someone like NASA, SpaceX, these kind of guys?
So we have a lot of inbound sales. We have done a really good job on our social media and our search engine optimization on our website. We get calls daily from customers. One of the problems is everyone's looking for a specific size, and every time you do testing, you have to make the tanks, blow them up, and pay about $10,000 in testing. So for me to make a new model, just for the minimum Department of Transportation testing, costs us about $20,000. So as a young startup, we don't have 20 grand just blow. So unless we get a significant order from someone, we don't really chase the opportunity at this point. Eventually, we're going to be adding lines. Right now, we're focusing on tanks that we know sell in the market and that there's a great need for. And then as for the NASA and the Yeti Space sales, our manufacturing partner in Alabama and the OSU alumni, his facility in Alabama is actually a part-time thing for him called Cimarron Composites, which you may have seen on our partner's slide. His full-time job is actually at NASA, so he kind of got our foot in the door for us there, and Yeti Space is a contractor for NASA, so both of them kind of found out about us through our manufacturing partners. So that's been a really great benefit for us.
Can you talk a little bit about the costs and capacity of some of these tanks? Those 4 tanks, what is the capacity of that?
So, for example, the Magnum cell, which is the only product that we have certified right now, it's 23.5 inches in diameter and 60 inches in length. So it holds the equivalent of 28 gas gallon energy. So basically, in the CNG world, they compare the amount of gas that you store to gasoline, diesel gallons, GGE or DGE. So to give you an idea, one of our competitors has something that's about an inch smaller in diameter. It only operates at 3,600 PSI. It holds 21 gallons and it weighs 205 pounds. So we're higher operating pressure, holding more fuel, and we weigh less than them. So that's some of the benefits that you get out of a Type 5 tank.
Two questions. One is, do you own all of your intellectual property?
Yes.
Okay, so if you do, what is your opinion on acquisition or licensing?
We've had some people, some of the bigger players, kind of give us a soft offer on acquiring us. One of the things that we want to do is actually build this thing up and scale it a little bit. We could be interested in selling at the right price, but for the most part, we're more interested in growing this business, creating jobs in Tulsa, and really getting the full-scale manufacturing of this thing.
So I was just going to ask if you patented those patents that you figured out.
Yeah, so we have some patents, and we have a lot of trade secrets. One of the things that we don't want to do is put the technology out there on how we're doing this, because people have been trying to do this, as I said, for 15 years and haven't figured it out. So I don't want to just go out there and show them what we're doing so they can try to work around it. So we have trade secrets and patents to protect us.
So how many units have you sold?
We've actually only sold 4 units of the Magnum cell that I showed you earlier. Those sales went out almost immediately after we got the Department of Transportation certification. What we sold to NASA and Yeti Space was the precursor to it. So basically, we have what they call a mandrel, which is the shape that you wind the carbon fiber around. We sold that to NASA and Getty Space. Most people use the plastic or metal liner. We have something that we remove out of it. That's one portion of our intellectual property, but it's not enough to make a Type 5 tank on its own. And then what was the second part of your question? That was it? All right. So for sales, we've got about $50,000 in sales as of last year, but we just certified the product in August of last year. So we're pretty new, and the Magnum cell and the higher operating pressure is kind of a niche market. So the reason we went after that is because we had a customer order, and they were willing to work with us while we got through development.
How quickly do these tanks fill, and can this be used as like a gas station? These tanks that people can actually fill up for things that you guys have.
Are you asking how long does it take for a vehicle to fill, or how long does it take for the infrastructure side to fill? The infrastructure side kind of depends on what kind of compressor you have. So you have basically different horsepower compressors that fill it at different rates, so that's kind of a variation. In terms of filling off of it, usually as long as it's a fast fill, you can do it in about 5 minutes, 5-6 minutes, about the same time as a gasoline. They do have slow fill stations, which like slow up overnight, but they run off the compressor, and those stations take longer, but you get a fuller fill.
Other questions?
All right.
I
Well,
stumped you all.
I've got one more. You already covered this a little bit, but what can we do in this community to help support you and CleanNG?
So as I said, we're looking for personnel. We just brought on someone for basically business development. We've got a really broad and strong engineering team. We've got about 15 people working on our total on our company. The majority of them are part-time engineers, a lot of students, we're a really young team. So we're always looking for new people, always customers. Like I said, we're looking for a new facility in the next 12 to 18 months, and of course, strategic partners.
All right, let's give them a round of applause. Okay, well that's it for this week. Thanks everybody for being here, as always. Be sure to get on Twitter, Facebook, talk about 1 Million Cups Tulsa. Also, if you want to present or pitch or be one of the companies up here, we're booked for the next month or two, but we're always looking for new companies. So it has the requirements on the website. You can just Google 1 Million Cups Tulsa, get on there, fill out the application to do that. Aaron, do we want to announce BFA or anything like that? Go talk to Aaron if you want to talk about Venture for America. They're a really cool organization coming to Tulsa. We're really excited about that. I think that's it. So thanks everybody for coming. We'll see you next week.